You don't need a holiday to give your brain a break. Welcome to The Age with Chris Campbell, a series of conversations about making life and work a little bit easier, one small improvement at a time. And this it's slightly different because, as you can see, I'm recording this far, far away. I'm actually in Lanzarote. I'm away with the family. We've gone self-catering because, quite frankly, with 3 children, sometimes that's just easier. You can eat when you want to. The kids can decide they're starving approximately, 12 minutes after telling you they weren't hungry. Nobody has to get dressed up just to go for breakfast. And if somebody decides they just want beige food for the day, like pasta or chicken nuggets, well, we can deal with that ourselves. That's family holidays. But something happened on this holiday that I really wanted to talk about. This recording. It's pretty much the first proper reason I've had to turn my phone back on, in all honesty. And do you know what? That feels absolutely bloody brilliant. No Instagram, no Facebook, no LinkedIn, no constant checking of my phone, no scrolling or notifications. And do you know what? My alarm was off, so no waking up and immediately looking to see what's happened in the world while I've been asleep. And do you know what happened? Absolutely nothing. The world continued. Wildfires continued in the United Kingdom. LinkedIn survived without me. Instagram somehow managed. Facebook carried on doing whatever Facebook does. I've no clue. And do you know what? Nobody sent out a search party for Chris Campbell from The Age because I haven't posted in a few days. Funny that, isn't it? We convince ourselves that we need to be connected constantly, but sometimes I think being connected to everything means we're properly connected to nothing. And that's what I want to talk about today. Switching off so we can actually switch back on. Not digitally, but as people. Because I didn't realise quite how noisy my head had become over the past couple of months until it went very quiet. And I think that's worth exploring. Now, before I go any further, I want to make something really clear. This isn't an episode about telling everyone to book a holiday. I'm incredibly fortunate to be sitting here in Lanzarote with my family. I know that. Going away with 3 kids costs a lot of money. Self-catering costs even more money. Flights cost money. And there will be people listening to this podcast on YouTube who either can't afford to go on holiday right now or don't want one, simply don't want one, or they can't get the time off, or they've got other priorities in life. So please don't hear this as Chris has discovered the secret to happiness and apparently it's getting on a TUI or a Ryanair flight to Lanzarote. It is. Lanzarote gave me the interruption I needed to notice something I could have done at home. Turn the bloody phone off. That's free. And that's really the point of today's conversation. I've had such a good time here. It's day 4, I think it is. And when I think about why, it's not actually the big stuff. Of course, the sunshine helps. I'm Northern Irish. Stick me somewhere warm and I'm already about 35% happier. But it's been the ordinary things. We've met people. We've spoken to families we've never known before. The kids have met other kids. We've all laughed. We've messed about. We've experimented with food. And because we're self-catering, that's become part of the holiday. You're wandering around the supermarket, looking at something, thinking, what the hell is that? Then somebody just says, just get it. Just get it, Daddy. And before you know it, we're trying something you'd never normally eat at home. Sometimes it's brilliant. Sometimes everyone takes one bite and then looks at each other. And suddenly the emergency packet of Doritos becomes tonight's pre-course meal. But that's part of it. Sorry, I keep moving these glasses. I've put the microphone up here to try and I don't want to wear a t-shirt, it's too hot. But that's part of it. We're experimenting, we're talking, we're sitting around a table, we're actually there together. And I've realised how much of modern life happens with half of us somewhere else. Physically, we're in the room, but mentally we're an email away, or we're on Instagram, or if you're growing something, you're constantly looking at algorithms and Instagram and LinkedIn and YouTube. We're thinking about tomorrow, we're replaying to WhatsApp, we're checking football, we're looking at work, we're reading something that somebody we've never met has posted about somebody else that we've never met. And somehow we've convinced ourselves that's normal. I'm as guilty as anybody, probably at times worse in some ways. I've got my career, which I absolutely love with my day job, and I've got CWC Age, I've got the podcast, I've got football coaching, football taking over as the chairman, I've got projects, I've got ideas. I love learning, I love creating things. So the phone is unbelievably useful to me. It's my camera right now. It's my communication hub. It's my notebook, my diary, my podcast tool, my business tool. It's really everything. But that's exactly the problem. The tool that helps me do so much can also be the thing that stops me doing nothing. And doing nothing occasionally is actually quite important. Think about the last time you genuinely did nothing. And I don't mean you sat on the sofa scrolling TikTok, or that's not doing nothing. Your thumb might be doing very little, but your brain is battered, absolutely battered. Video, swipe. Another video, you swipe. Somebody's kitchen, oh, look at that. Then you swipe. A war's happening in the world somewhere. You watch it for a minute or two like me, and then you swipe. Some bloke telling you the 5 things successful people apparently do before 5:30 in the morning. Get off. Swipe. A dog falling into a swimming pool or running into a door. Swipe. Somebody telling you you're investing your pension incorrectly. Swipe. Football. Swipe. Politics. Swipe. An advert for something you probably mentioned on near your phone 5 weeks ago. And then before you know it, 45 minutes later or an hour later, you put your phone down. Can you actually remember what you've just watched? You might remember the last thing, but not something 20 minutes ago. I've got the bloody hiccups now. That's not rest, guys. That's stimulation, constant stimulation. And I think we've started confusing the two. One of the things this holiday has reminded me is what actually rest feels like. And I'm not talking about lying around doing absolutely nothing all day. We've got 3 kids. There's no such thing. Anyone who's taken children on holiday knows a family holiday isn't necessarily a rest. Sometimes it's just parenting, but in hotter, more stuffy weather with more bags and significantly more sun cream flying around. But mentally, I've been somewhere different. I've allowed my brain to wander. I've had conversations that didn't need an outcome. Nobody needed a project update. Nobody needed an action tracker. Nobody was asking for a deadline. I've spoken to new people from the northeast, from the south, from Ireland, simply because they were just there at that moment. And that's something I think technology can quietly take away from us. Those little moments of randomness. You're sitting beside someone, you start talking. Where are you from? What do you do? How old are your kids? Before you know it, 20 minutes, half an hour's gone. You've learned something new about somebody's life. Maybe you'll never see them again. It doesn't matter, because that's human connection. And I think we're starving ourselves of it while being more digitally connected than we've ever been before. But there's actually some good research around parts of this. And I'm always careful here because I don't like the ridiculous argument that phones are evil. They're not evil. Technology is mind-blowingly brilliant nowadays. I use it every day. The issue is how we use it. Research around digital media and well-being is much more nuanced than some headlines, I believe, make out. But there's evidence that constant connectivity, interruptions, and problematic patterns of smartphone or social media users can be associated with poor well-being, distraction, and stress. And importantly, research into psychological detachments from work suggests that being able to mentally disengage during non-work time is associated with better recovery and well-being. So put the phone down. That makes complete sense to me. Until I read it, I didn't understand it. Because your body can leave work while your head stays there for another, I don't know, sometimes 4, 5, 6 hours. I know I've done it. You're sitting with a family at home, but you're still replaying that meeting you had at 9 o'clock in the morning. Thinking about the project, checking an email, planning tomorrow. You're home, but you're not really home. And I've talked about presence before on this podcast, probably episode 12, I think. My wife said something to me many years ago that has always stuck with me, and I try my best to work on it. I just want you present. Not solving, not working, not planning, present. And do you know what? This holiday has reminded me what that actually means. And here's another thing I noticed. Boredom isn't necessarily bad. We've almost engineered boredom out of our lives. Queuing, phone. At the toilet, people reach for their phone. Waiting for the kettle to brew, people reach for their phone. A commercial break on a TV show you're watching, you reach for your phone. Kids training at football or at sporting activities, parents reach for their phone. Sitting outside in the garden, you reach for your phone. Sunbathing, people are reaching for their phones every 5 minutes. We've removed nearly every little gap where the brain used to wander. And some of the best ideas came from when my brain wanders, it's wandering now. Walking the dog, driving, sitting quietly, standing in the garage, looking at something, thinking, there's got to be a better way of doing that. And that's where CWC Edge ideas come from, believe it or not. That's where improvement ideas come from in my brain. Not always when I'm deliberately trying to innovate. Sometimes innovation just appears when you give your brain enough room to notice what's around you. And that's very much part of the CWC Edge concept. We keep talking about removing friction from our daily lives, removing waste, creating space. Well, maybe one of the biggest bits of clutter many of us need to deal with is that digital clutter, not deleting apps, not smashing your phone with a hammer or creating some space. And I'll tell you something else that's been brilliant. Food. We've been experimenting. Nothing fancy. We're self-catering, as I mentioned before, but we've been trying things, making things together, going to the shops, seeing ingredients, trying local stuff, making a bit of a mess, getting it wrong occasionally. And that's my boy trying to get in the apartment. And there's something really healthy about that mindset. Not nutritionally. I'm definitely not making that claim based on some of the things we've eaten. I'm worried that he locks the key inside. Cole, give me the key whenever you're finished. Where was I? Trying something different. It didn't work. Fine. Try something else tomorrow. That's basically continuous improvement. You think you'd escape that completely, did you? Even on holiday, I'm finding improvement lessons in the supermarket, by the pool, doing the cream of the morning for the kids. I think adults become frightened of experimentation. Kids aren't. Kids try things. They don't care that I'm videoing a podcast. They build something. If it falls over, they laugh. They build it again. He's going to take the mickey out of me later for me sitting here with these glasses on and the microphone on the side. Everything needs an outcome. Everything needs to be productive. But what if it doesn't? What if sometimes we simply try something out because it's fun? That's another thing I've rediscovered here. Fun. Proper fun. Pointless fun. Throwing balls in the sea. No measurable return on investment. Fun. And I think leaders of organizations need that too. Parents need it. Absolutely. Business owners need it. People need it. Not everything in your life needs to become serious and become a KPI. I've also met new people here, new families, different backgrounds, different jobs, different stories. And I love that everyone is different and nobody's the same. Because one of the dangers of being constantly online is that algorithms gradually give us more and more of what we already like, more of the opinions that we already agree with. That's not healthy. More of the people we're already interested in, more leadership, more engineering, football, business. And you know what? Before long, your entire world starts looking suspiciously like you. Real people don't work like that. Sit beside somebody at the pool. You might do something you've never heard of. They might see the world completely differently. Brilliant. Talk to them. Ask questions. Learn something. That's curiosity, guys. And curiosity is one of the most underrated leadership skills there is. You don't develop curiosity by always talking to the people who you think actually like you. Now, I want to bring this back to normal life because eventually I've got to go home in a couple of days. Unfortunately, I'll probably be standing in the rain somewhere in Staffordshire coaching football before I know it in a few weeks' time. And that's where the real test begins again. Because it's easy for me to sit in Lanzarote saying, phones off, live in the moment, come on, what are you doing? Try doing that on a wet Wednesday evening when you've got 47 emails. The kids need taking somewhere and someone has just asked where their PE kit is for school or where their football boots are. That's real life. So I don't want to make some ridiculous promise that I'm going to go home and I'm deleting every social media account I've got. I'm not. CWC Edge relies on some of them. I enjoy some of them. YouTube particularly helps me learn. Sometimes they help me communicate. They've introduced me to some brilliant people. The answer isn't technology is bad. The answer is technology intentional. That's different. I want the technology to work for me. I don't want to work for the technology. And there's a question in there for all of us. Who's actually in control? When you pick up your phone, who's in control? Did you decide to, or did a little red notification decide for you? When you open Instagram, did you actually want something? Or did your thumb just do it automatically? When you're sitting with the kids and your phone buzzes, why does somebody This is really good. Take this to the bank. Why does somebody 50 miles away, 40 miles away, automatically get priority over the person you're sitting 2 or 3 feet away? That's uncomfortable when you really think about it. And again, I'm talking to myself here as much as anybody is listening. Connect with those close. So here's what I'm taking home from Lanzarote. Not a revolutionary morning routine and getting up before 5:30 and doing a detox. Not some complicated digital detox. 3 things first. Create phone-free spaces. Maybe it's dinner time. Maybe it's the 30 minutes when you get home. Maybe it's Sunday morning. Pick somewhere your phone simply doesn't need to be. Second, allow yourself to be bored. Go for a walk without headphones. Go for a run without headphones. Sit with a coffee without scrolling. Stand in the garden and look at your plants. Look around you. Let your brain wander. It'll feel weird. Trust me. That's probably a sign that we've forgotten how to do it. And thirdly, choose people over social feeds. Talk, ask questions, meet somebody, play with the kids, phone a mate, have dinner together. Do something completely pointless and enjoy it, because no social media feed, no matter how clever the algorithm becomes or the person that's presenting it becomes, can ever replace genuine human connection. And that brings us to this week's CWC Age Challenge. I want you to take 2 hours. That's it. Not a week, not even a whole day. 2 hours. Phone off, not on silent, not face down where you can still see it lighting up. Come on, phone completely off. And if circumstances mean that you genuinely need to be contactable, adapt the challenge sensibly. Use Do Not Disturb and allow essential people through. But the principle remains the same. Create a deliberate interruption. To the interruption, then do something ordinary. Go for a walk, cook, play football, go to the park, sit in the garden, read, talk to your partner, take the kids somewhere free. Go and see your mum or dad. Go and see a family member. Go and see a mate. Do absolutely bugger all if that's what you need. And afterwards, ask yourself 3 questions. What did I notice? Who did I properly connect with? And did I actually miss anything important? I suspect many of us, like me, will discover not much. And I really want to stress this before I finish. You do not need an expensive holiday to Lanzarote to do this. That's probably the most important message, and I'm quite aware of this. It's probably the most important message in this whole YouTube. I'm incredibly grateful for that I'm here. I'm grateful we've been able to afford it. I'm grateful for the time that we've spent as a family, but the lesson isn't go on holiday to sort this all out. The lesson is give yourself permission to disconnect. That can happen in Lanzarote. It can happen in Stafford, in London, in Belfast, in Arkansas, in New York. It can happen in your back garden, wherever it is. It can happen walking around your local park. It can happen sitting at the kitchen table with a cup of tea or coffee. The most valuable thing I've found here didn't come with a holiday package. It was something I already owned, my own attention. I'd just been giving too much of it away recently, and maybe that is something worth thinking about, because attention is finite. Time is finite. Your kids being the age they are right now, that's definitely not going to stay around forever. And I don't want to look back and realise I've experienced their childhood with one eye on a screen. I'm not going to get this perfect, guys. Neither are any of you. But that's not what the CWC Age podcast is about. We're not chasing perfection. We're noticing, we're questioning, we're improving. One small thing, then another. So maybe this week, the improvement isn't adding something. Maybe it's switching something off. I've genuinely loved this holiday. I've got another podcast to do before I leave. It just spurred on me yesterday, and I wrote a few ideas down, so look out for that one. I've loved meeting new people. I've loved seeing the kids having fun, experimenting with food, some of them. I've loved being with my family. I've loved not knowing what LinkedIn thinks I should be reading today. Yep, that happens. And bizarrely, I've loved missing things, because missing things online has meant I've been present for the things here, enjoying this holiday. That's a trade-off I'll happily make. So when I've finished this recording and the second one that I want to do, the phone's going back off, the world can carry on. CWC Age will be there, it will survive, and I'm going back to my family, because right now, that's exactly where I need to be. Next time we'll carry on a little bit of a journey of making life and work a little bit easier. But until then, try the 2 hours, switch off, look up, talk to somebody, try something, laugh, be bored, be present with people around you. Because sometimes to get your edge back, you need to put the bloody phone down. Thanks for listening. The chaotic noise of everyday life becomes easier, one small improvement at a time, I believe. Enjoy your week wherever you are. And as always, keep your edge.